If you've ever had your testosterone checked by your doctor, they probably looked at total testosterone, that one number, and made a decision based on that. Low total testosterone, maybe you got the suggestion of getting TRT, total testosterone replacement therapy. Normal testosterone, you're fine, even if it's on the low end. But human physiology doesn't work that way. In over 4 decades of clinical practice, what I've learned is that low testosterone almost never exists in isolation. And in this video, I'm going to show you what most medical evaluations miss and why measuring testosterone alone rarely tells the full story, and how low T is often a signal of something much deeper. Because the real question is not whether or not your testosterone is low. The real question that needs to be asked is, why is it low? Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Berkowitz. I'm a chiropractor with over 40 years of clinical experience and advanced training in functional medicine. My work is built on one simple truth. The human body is engineered to express robust health when the conditions are right. Health is your birthright. I work with men and women in midlife who are frustrated. They're experiencing low libido, weight gain, inflammation, poor sleep, fatigue, and they're frustrated with a medical system that focuses on symptom management and not correction of the underlying cause. I help people rebuild their metabolism, restore circadian and nervous system rhythms, and realign with the signals that the body requires. You see, you can't heal in the same environment in which the problem arose. That's really important, and it's missed in our system. This channel is about returning to biological truth. Subscribe if you want to learn how metabolism, hormones, light, timing, and daily environment shape your health, and how small, practical changes can restore energy, clarity, and vitality. Because health is really so much simpler than you've been led to believe. It's not something our system tells you. So, what's a typical medical evaluation for testosterone? There's a male hormone panel, but this trend in medicine has been typically to look at single measurement or maybe a couple of measurements. For example, in the thyroid, most doctors make their judgment on low thyroid based on TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. If that's really high, they say that you have low thyroid. They don't look at signals from the pituitary. Thyroid stimulating hormone tells you whether you're normal or abnormal. You can't have hypothyroid with a normal TSH. They skip T3, T4, free T3, reverse T3, a bunch of other thyroid indicators that might show a problem. And with testosterone, the focus is typically on total testosterone. What's ridiculous is that the normal range is from 300 to 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. That's a huge range. They don't look at the signals from the pituitary most of the time. Yeah, one test can indicate a problem, but it's most often completely misses the real problem. Total testosterone only tells a part of the story. Yep, sometimes they look at sex hormone binding globulin, estradiol, a few other things. But that range of testosterone is so absurdly large that chances are that you will fall into what's considered normal regardless of what you're experiencing. Unless you go to a TRT doctor, then no matter what your findings are, they're going to tell you it's abnormal and you need to be boosted. But here's what's missed, or what's not even looked for most of the time. Low testosterone is caused by something. It could be the signal from the pituitary. It could be that the testes aren't making enough testosterone. It could be that your cortisol is too high. You've got elevated insulin or insulin resistance, elevated blood glucose, prediabetes. You could have chronic systemic inflammation. You could have a dietary deficiency. You could have a problem with sleep and stress. It could be not enough cholesterol because that's needed for testosterone. It could be circadian disruption. And it probably is multiple things. The point is, it's almost always a bunch of different things, and you don't find the cause looking at one single test. And metabolic health is linked to healthy testosterone. The reductionistic approach of medicine wants to pin it on one thing, one solution, and that solution is almost always TRT, or, regardless of how you feel, you're told you're normal. What's rarely evaluated? The hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis isn't looked at. Metabolic health as an indicator isn't looked at. Rarely are we looking at systemic inflammation. That's not evaluated. Or hyperinsulinemia and insulin resistance isn't considered. Dietary fat intake and omega-6 to omega-3 ratios aren't evaluated. And circadian rhythm and circadian health isn't taken into account. You see, low T is the effect. It's not the cause. It's the effect. And most of the time, you need to look at metabolic health with a wider lens. We need to look at lifestyle. We need to look at diet. We need to look at daily rhythms, environmental signals, sleep cycles, exercise. All of these contribute to metabolic health. My metabolic resilience program takes a wider lens, a bigger look at metabolic health. We look at a bigger picture of metabolic health when evaluating something like testosterone. We look beyond testosterone. Testosterone is a marker. We look to thyroid hormone, pituitary signals like luteinizing hormone. We look to inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, lipids, insulin and glucose and insulin resistance. Visceral fat is an indicator for inflammation, fatty acid balance, cortisol. We need to look at lifestyle, environment, daily rhythms, daily practices. They all contribute or detract from your metabolic health. Low testosterone and most departures from health don't exist in isolation. There is almost always an underlying imbalance, an underlying disturbance in metabolic health that's driving this problem. Low T is the canary in the coal mine. It's the effect. If all you want is the easy button, then go for TRT and just look at total testosterone. And you'll get there. You'll boost your testosterone. But if what you really want is to feel your best, if what you really want is to look your best, if what you want is to perform your best, if you really want to be as healthy as possible, really healthy, then you need to evaluate your metabolic health. And we need to correct the underlying issues that are driving metabolic imbalance and that are showing up as low testosterone, showing up as fatigue, showing up as poor sleep, weight gain, brain fog, and the list goes on and on. It's all related to metabolic health. We need a more complete picture to know where you are right now, to know what your starting point is, to build a plan, and to track the progress and make adjustments as you travel that path from metabolic imbalance to metabolic health and robust testosterone. Again, rarely do issues like low testosterone exist in isolation. They are always found with other metabolic imbalances. And the trend of population lower testosterone that I've talked about in other videos is epigenetic. It's related to our lifestyle, our environment, and our signal. You don't correct lifestyle with hormones like TRT. You don't correct it with any kind of medication. That's one of the problems. And outside of damage to the testicles from trauma or disease, low T is a systemic issue. Low T is an indicator of other issues that are going on. It's a symptom of a deeper metabolic imbalance. Why not correct that imbalance? And the good thing is you correct the metabolic health imbalance and lots of things improve, not just testosterone. Declining metabolic health is a lifestyle issue. It's linked to chronic degenerative disease, what has been labeled as Neolithic disease. It's caused by a mismatch between how we live and what our biology really requires. We've changed our world so dramatically, and it's showing up in our health. And metabolic health is the key to not only robust levels of testosterone, to great overall health, to high energy, great focus, strength, the ability to put on lean muscle, a lean body, low inflammation. It's about feeling and performing your best. That's metabolic health. I hope this discussion, you can see that low testosterone is rarely an isolated problem. It's a signal of a deeper issue. And if all you want is replacement, then you can measure testosterone alone and you can get TRT. If you want to correct the underlying metabolic imbalance, then you really need to look at the full picture. You need to understand where you are. And in upcoming videos, I'm going to continue to show how metabolic health, how hormones, light, timing, and daily environment shape your testosterone and your overall health. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of those. Remember, health is so much simpler than you've been led to believe. And if you're wondering whether this approach really works, this next video answers that. I'm going to share how I came off TRT and how I ended up right now with higher testosterone than I did before I ever went on TRT. Go watch that video next.